Welcome back to the channel, everyone, and today we have another video from Lost in the Pond. This is 7 phrases I've only heard after moving to America. Definitely go check out this channel. It's fantastic. Go subscribe to them and give them a like. All right, let's get into it.
Hello, I'm Lawrence and I'm on a quest to uncover all of the memos that Britain and America lost in the pond, and one of those
Side note, I will have a link to the original in the description, so you don't even have to go search for it.
memos pertains to sayings and phrases. And stay tuned because you can win a $10 gift card with today's sponsor,
Woo,
Upside.
$10!
Over the last 157 years since I started this channel, I've talked about how Britain
That's like half a month's income on my channel.
and America differ on some of the words that they use. But sometimes it's not just a singular word, but a collection of them. And today, I'm going to look at some American phrases that I only heard after moving to the United States. One such phrase is, "I appreciate you," which my technical team says I should direct at my subscribers.
You have a technical team now? Man, you've come a long way.
And if you're not subscribed to my
Is it
channel,
your wife?
do that now! In the meantime, here are 7 common phrases that I only heard after moving to America. One thing that you quickly learn after listening to Americans for 5 minutes is that they have about 100 words and sayings that were derived from sport.
That's true. Unfortunately, I don't know, I'm aware of Monday Morning Quarterback, but I don't watch football that often. And I'm not talking about soccer, but
And one such phrase
just
is
in general.
Monday morning quarterback. And I must have heard that phrase
I assume that's for, actual football, right?
about 100 times before I bothered to look it up in researching this video. Because when I first heard
I
it,
don't
I
even know
couldn't
this
really
one.
fathom what it meant. Like, in my head, I think I assumed that it described an NFL player that was late to training, or early. I don't know the usual...
Well, I assume it's meant for Monday Night Football, right? Man, I'm really bad with sports, so you guys can definitely go in the comments and be like, you're an idiot.
training schedule of your average footballer. But Monday morning suggests they were late because the sports people tend to sports most on the weekend. So if you're a Monday morning quarterback, you miss the match and you turned up to training late. It's got nothing to do with any of that. This is just something that my own brain came up with. Instead, its definition is one that I don't think Britain really has an equivalent of, because a Monday morning quarterback is a person who passes judgment on and criticizes something after the event.
Really? I guess that makes sense. Huh. Interesting. Yeah, no, I had no idea. I've never heard it technically, but then again, if it was originally meant like in the sports setting, then that makes more sense as to why I never would have heard it.
In other words, with the benefit of hindsight. I mean, in a sporting context, we have something similar, which is an armchair pundit, but I don't think that quite means the same thing, because an armchair pundit is somebody who might offer their critique of an event in real time as it's happening. Ooh, call yourself a professional tennis player, Novak Djokovic. I could do better than that, you prat. To be clear, Novak, that's not my opinion. That's just me mimicking somebody who is an armchair pundit.
Okay, I've definitely heard "Shoot the Breeze" before.
Believe it or not, before I
That can
became
be
a
a bunch
YouTube
of different things,
sensation, there
though.
was a time when I used to talk to people, and a colleague once asked me if I wanted to shoot the breeze over coffee. Now, I'm from Britain, where 50% of all phrases are related to toilet humour.
Right, yeah, that's where it could mean. Most people just mean talk over coffee, that type of thing. Talk
And
about
forgive
random
me, but
nonsense.
as soon as I heard the word breeze, I immediately thought of wind. And when I think of wind, I immediately think of, you know what I think of. So of course I said yes, because deep down I am 5 years old. So I was very disappointed to discover once we got to the coffee house that shoot the breeze just means to chat idly. Mind you, in situations like that, it's not much different from breaking wind, because I do end up talking out of my arse. I'll be honest, this one doesn't come up very often, but the first...
Yeah, I mean, it comes up occasionally. Generally not. It's not often anymore at all. I mean, half the people in America barely even know our own history, so why would it?
First time that it did, I had to do a little bit of a double take. Put your John Hancock here, said a man holding out an important looking form. Your John Hancock? That sounds like a euphemism to me, friend. And I will not be putting it on this or any piece of paper. But sir, your visa depends on it. And so as I reluctantly pull down my trousers, he hands me a pen. Your John Hancock is your signature, sir.
That'd be so bad. I could see someone accidentally doing that potentially.
Ah, right. Happy to sign it. Do you still want... Never mind. And while I definitely embellished parts of that story to move the plot along, it does raise one important question. Who on earth is John Hancock? Well, apart from being the person after whom this Chicago skyscraper was named, John Hancock was a founding father of the United States. Not only was he the first person to sign the Declaration of Independence, but his was by far the largest signature on the document. A popular legend.
Yeah. Apparently, he's like, you know what? I have a really amazing signature. I'm going to make sure everyone knows it.
Legend has it that Hancock did this deliberately so as to make his signature clearly visible to Britain's King George III. However, evidence points to this story having been invented many years later, perhaps by Monday morning quarterbacks of the day. Either way, with hindsight of my own, it does make me wonder if that immigration officer only used the term upon hearing my accent. Regardless, it still highlights how the legacy of America's founding still impacts US English today, with the phrase John Hancock a direct link to the country's independence from the British. One item that bears my John Hancock is my debit card. And as a YouTube sensation who regularly hits the road, I'm always looking for ways to...
Am I a YouTube sensation? No. I was happy when I had 100 subscribers. It's actually it's really nice that I have, a few thousand, but I'm happy for every subscriber I have. Even if it's just one.
Save on gas. During our recent trip to view the eclipse, I used the Upside app, which helped me discover cashback offers in the local area for not just gas, but restaurants.
Keep in mind, Upside doesn't work everywhere. It works in certain states. Maybe they've expanded it, but I tried it out and it didn't really work very well.
Groceries.
Where I
After
was.
pulling into a British Petroleum, that's BP, in Walcott, Indiana, I opened up the app and what do you know? I could get 34 cents a gallon back once I hit claim. This amounted to a total of $3.57.
It's actually a really good app if it does work.
In cash back. And over time, it all adds up. Frequent Upside users earn roughly $340 in cashback a year, which is quite a lot when you consider that the app is completely free.
That's like one Costco grocery trip.
Upside is available at over 100,000 locations in all 50 states, including at other eligible gas stations like Shell, Chevron, and ExxonMobil. Basically, Upside makes money from brands by sending customers their way and then shares some of that money with you. Click the link in the description.
It's like Google AdSense.
Or scan the QR code, find an offer near you, and fill up your gas tank using the Upside app to receive your $10 gift card. Even after my brain was sent into a trance by the endless stream of soy fields, I was still able to navigate the Upside.
That's actually there's in the Midwest. It's actually something called Prairie Madness. Basically, I was gonna say pilgrims, settlers of the early West would head towards head out west or whatever you can call it. But because they were in carriages and whatnot, and they just went on endlessly, and basically people would start hallucinating after a while. You should look it up. Yeah, it's called Prairie Madness. It's pretty funny.
Upside app with ease. Install Upside today to take advantage of this limited time offer. The link is in my description below. And signing those
people just like running around screaming, it's flat, and then lose their dang mind.
Forms ultimately meant that I was able to legally work in the United States. It was while working in a call center in 2015 that I remember hearing this entry for the first time. I vividly remember sitting opposite somebody who used to sign off all of his calls by saying, "Bye, Felicia." And for the longest time, I didn't know why he was doing that or why every one of his customers was called Felicia. But I do know this, he didn't seem especially pleased. And then as time went on, I kept hearing other people use it. "Bye, Felicia. Bye, Felicia. Bye, Felicia." Except it was never as polite as that. And with good reason, because it turns out this is a phrase that one says when one is done with a conversation, meaning that's it, it's over, conversation done.
I've never even heard that one. For
fans of trivia, the phrase seems to have originated in the 1995 film Friday, starring Ice Cube.
Bye, Felicia.
And as Mr.
I've literally never, ever heard... I've seen that movie. I've never heard that used in any sort of real-life scenario. Ever. In 30-something years.
Cube himself put it, "Bye, Felicia," is the phrase to get anyone out of your face. You hear that, Max? Say that to your wife next time you see her. His wife is called Felicia.
Wait, does he actually have a technical team?
Ever so occasionally, I receive comments in the comment section from commenters saying things like this. Lawrence, your channel is hilarious. I don't know, I'm doing jazz hands. And I am as funny as all get.
Yeah, I've never heard that one either. I swear. I've lived in so many different states. I've lived in tons of random states. I've never even heard of half of these.
Out. Well, it doesn't. I don't know what it means. Other than I am funny to the highest conceivable degree, which a lot of people will debate, including my mom.
These like
but that's
new
what
phrases?
It means. When you are something as all get out, you are really beloved for that thing, unless that thing is Steve.
I mean, it makes sense, but I've just never heard anyone use it. All right.
Because most people frown upon that. Even if you're really good at it.
What do you steal?
Not me. I've never stolen anything in my life, except some chewing gum when I was 6.
Yeah, everyone does that.
Over the years, many people who follow this channel have brought to my attention a phrase that has the opposite meaning on either side of the pond. To table an item. Now, this might not be one that rolls off the tongue of most people, but it is a phrase that's used quite commonly in political circles. In Britain, if a group of politicians table a piece of
I guess that makes sense. I have heard that one occasionally.
legislation, that means that piece of legislation is on the table for them to discuss. In America, it's the exact opposite. When they table that legislation here,
Oh, that means they're done with it, right?
it means that they discard it. Forget about it. Stop talking about it. In other words, suspend one's consideration of that thing. So when I, a British-born American, say, hey, Max, why don't we table my research on 17-year cicadas? He thinks that I don't want to make that video, when of course I do. That video will be coming soon, so stay tuned.
I mean, to be fair, that phrase isn't used as much as people think. It's used it's definitely most likely used in maybe certain types of business. Corporate probably uses it in like meeting type level stuff, executive type stuff. But it's not used in like everyday speak for most people. That's going to be very circumstantial, and obviously politics most likely.
And finally, plead the fifth, and I suspect that some of
Okay, this one's used all the time, and lots of people have no idea what it means.
my American viewers might be watching this going, uh-oh, Lawrence, did you get in trouble with the law? And the answer is, no, definitely not. And anyway, that was 12 years ago. But I've encountered the phrase plead the fifth every now and again in, say, newspapers or just overhearing it in conversation at the bus stop. You do hear some crazy things, but I think due to the way people were using it, I understood it to be a legal term, but I just didn't know what the fifth was. What is this fifth that everyone keeps talking about? You know, was it the fifth day or Fifth Avenue or Five Guys? I was just trying to get my head around America and the way it uses numbers. And it turns out that just like a lot of words and phrases in American English, this one pertains to the US Constitution. The Fifth Amendment.
I kind of wish a lot of Americans were forced to actually read the entire Constitution and how it actually... it's not that big. It is not that big of a document. Maybe once you had a bunch of the amendments in, but still, even then, it would be a lot better if they just had read it once.
And the Fifth Amendment guarantees the right to a grand jury, forbids double jeopardy, and protects against self-incrimination. And as far as I understand it, it's largely that last part that people are referencing when they say, plead the fifth. In other words, to plead the fifth means to refuse to answer a question because the response could provide self-incriminating evidence of an illegal act. So really, it's the exact opposite of what I did earlier when I said this. I've never stolen anything in my life, except some chewing gum when I was 6. So it seems that my only way to get out of this is to pretend that I was joking, because after all, I am funny as all get out.
Yeah, of course. I can't believe that's a phrase, all as funny as all get out. That just doesn't make any sense in my brain. It does not roll off the tongue. It just doesn't make sense. Maybe it's a reference. So as funny as all hell instead, and then people don't like using the word hell.
If I've learned anything from this video and from living in both Britain and America extensively, it is that both countries have lots of sayings. And since moving to America, I've even picked some up. The other day, I caught myself using the phrase such and such is a dime a dozen. In other words, there are so many of this thing that it is irrelevant. That said, my videos, though there are quite a lot of them, are very relevant.
Yeah, all his videos are relevant.
They are.
I love that laugh in the background.
Especially this one, which is called 4 Ways American English is Pretty Weird.
Okay, sorry. I was reading the actual title, and I'm like, no, it's not. And yeah, it actually is. All right. This is a great channel. Go check out his videos if you've never seen him. He has a lot of really good advice, especially if you're traveling in the U.S. and or especially if you're traveling over to Britain for the first time, or quite a few other places. But yeah, there's quite a few good guides on that as well. We'll actually watch a couple of those videos soon. All right, have a good day, everyone.